Here at Leigh Woodworking Tools, we continually strive to improve our products. The following video was produced for an earlier model of jig. However, the instructional content remains current for your D4R Pro. The finger assembly, scale, jig settings, and operating procedures for the D4R Pro are virtually identical to what you'll see here. Where there's a modification, the change has been clearly captioned.
With the finger assembly in the half-blind tails mode, the cross-cut fence fits into the recesses in the ends of the tail guides to allow routing of sliding dovetails. Using the cross-cut fence as a guide surface for the guide bush, you can make lateral router cuts across the faces of horizontal boards to route sliding dovetail slots, and across the top end of vertical boards to cut the tails. You can use virtually any guide bush dovetail cutter combination for sliding dovetails. But make sure the cutter can rotate without touching either the guide bush or the jig. Mark a narrow test slot board at several closely spaced places and square the marks across the face. These boards are used only for setup. To start, mount a test slot board in the rear clamp. Then mount a 3/4 inch thick square-ended board vertically in the front clamp, with the top edge butting the underside of the test board. The 3/4 inch thickness is important. Now position and clamp the test board so that one of the edge marks is in line with the outside edge of the vertical board. With the finger assembly on the support brackets in the half-blind tails mode, set the scale to 9/16 inches. With the 3/4 inch thick board in the front clamp, the cross-cut fence should be set in the correct position. Make sure the finger assembly is level and sitting flush on top of the board. Adjust the cutter so the cut depth is about 1/3 the thickness of the wood. This is the best depth for sliding dovetails. Route from left to right, maintaining light inward pressure of the guide bush on the fence. Route in only about 1 inch, then back out again. Check to see if the short slot you have cut is centered on the pencil line. If not, adjust the finger assembly in or out and retest on the other lines as necessary until the slot is centered. Record the setting for future reference. Put the workpiece in the horizontal position in the rear clamp. Slot side, that is, inside face, up. The guide fingers must be flush on the board. Now route the sliding dovetail slots in the main slot boards. Now you can cut all the way through. Or stop to create a stop sliding dovetail slot. Replace the spacer board in the rear clamp. And with the finger assembly on the spacer board, mount the test tail board vertically in the front clamp, flush with the guide fingers. Either side can face out. The half-blind tail scale is not designed specifically for this mode, but it does allow you to make precise adjustments for tail size and tightness of fit on sliding dovetails. Adjust and set the finger assembly so it is clear that the routed tail will be too large for the slot. Then route one side of the test tail board. The depth of cut is, of course, the same as for the slots. Make one light pass from right to left. Make sure you control it firmly, because it is driven in this direction by the cutter. Only the tip of the cutter should be cutting on the first cut. This back or climb routing leaves a very clean shoulder on side grain. And finish left to right, with the guide bush touching the bar. Turn the test tailboard around in the jig and route the other side as before. Test the joint for fit. It should be too big. If it is, move the finger assembly in toward the jig by half the amount the tail is too big. Route the same test board again and keep adjusting and testing until you have a good fit. If it is too small, adjust the finger assembly outward by at least half the difference and route another test tail on the other end of the test board. Tolerances in board thickness, guide bush diameter, cutter depth, angle, diameter, and concentricity make it impractical to record or chart each setting for sliding tail size. Using trial and error each time, it doesn't take long to learn how to produce a good fit. When the fit is satisfactory, route one end of a project tailboard and test again. If the fit is good, route all the other ends.